Hi there, and welcome to The Salted Pepper, where we cook for real life using real food and we keep it real simple. And today we're going to be making a recipe that was suggested by one of you guys. So Joe, this one's for you. We're going to be making Reubens in the Ninja Foodi. Let's get started. First thing we have is 4 ounces of sauerkraut here. Now you can either use canned or you can use the kind in the bag. I prefer the kind in the bag, but that's your preference, or you can even make your own. That's something I really want to try. Hopefully I'll get to that soon. So the important thing about making any kind of a grilled sandwich is you want your ingredients to be warmed or room temperature before you go to the grilling process. So in order to get this sauerkraut warmed up, we're going to put it under steam for a few minutes in the Ninja Foodi. I'm just going to put some aluminum foil around here. I don't need a lot of water. We only need about a cup or so in order for the Ninja Foodi to create the steam. So I'm just going to put in about a cup of water. Set this on the rack here. Get our pressure cooking lid on. Keep it to vent because we're going to be steaming. Turn it on. Hit the steam function. We only need to go probably about 5 minutes or so, and then we'll hit the start button. So while that's steaming, let's talk about some of the other ingredients we have here. So we have Swiss cheese. We have finely sliced or shaved corned beef. This is deli meat. I find it a little difficult to make a good Reuben out of braised corned beef like you would make in your Ninja Foodi or in the oven. So I went to the deli and I got them to cut this super, super thin. Hopefully you can see how thin that is. That's going to make for a delicious and flavorful sandwich. The thinner you cut the corned beef, the more flavorful it is because the more surface area you have. So that is going to be one of the key things to making this sandwich. The other thing I have here is some Thousand Island dressing. Now you could get the store-bought kind, but it is so easy to make yourself. And the way that I make mine is 3 ingredients. I use 2 parts mayonnaise to 1 part ketchup, and then a teaspoon or a tablespoon of pickle relish, just depending on how much I made. So in here we have a 1/2 cup of mayonnaise, a 1/4 cup of ketchup, and 1 tablespoon of sweet pickle relish. Now you could use dill pickle relish if you don't like the sweetness. You can also add in onion powder or garlic powder or fresh onion, finely diced, or fresh garlic, anything you like. But that's the basic for a Thousand Island dressing. We also have some butter here. Now we have about 2 tablespoons of butter, and we're going to use that for both these sandwiches. One thing that I find that people do and they make a mistake is they over butter their bread. There's a fine line between too little and too much butter. You want to get a thin layer over your bread, but if you over butter it, it will become soggy. It will not crisp up. So we're going to apply just a thin layer to each one of these pieces of bread. Okay, so I have butter on all 4 slices, and now we're going to work with 1 sandwich at a time here. I'm going to put that down. Now, one of the other secrets is to put the cheese on first. You might think that you put your dressing on first, but you don't want to do that. You want to put the cheese on first. We're going to layer 2 pieces of cheese here, and then we will put on a little bit of our Thousand Island. Now, the reason why I do this is because I like the cheese to create the barrier between the bread and the dressing so that the dressing doesn't soak into the bread, causing it to be soggy. And that looks like a good amount. Then we will do that with our other sandwich as well. This is going to be a cheesy, delicious sandwich. If you want to cut down on the cheese, you can certainly just use 1 slice per side. Okay, so now we're going to get some of our corned beef. I have 6 ounces of corned beef, which is plenty for 2 sandwiches. We're going to put about half on. Okay, So this is just about to come under steam. So I'm gonna let that go for 5 minutes. Then we'll open the lid, I'll get it out, and I'm gonna actually put it through this colander just to strain the excess juice. So we've been steaming the sauerkraut covered in foil in the Ninja Foodi for 5 minutes. Now I can go ahead and open the lid. You don't have to worry about releasing the pressure because we didn't build up any pressure. So you can just open the lid right up. I'm gonna get my little handy dandy mitts here and grab this and just sort of drain off the top water there. Bring it over here. And I'm gonna take the tin foil off and I'm just gonna put it into this colander for a minute. Doesn't have to stay in there too long, but just for a minute. Any excess juice that's in here, I want to drain. I want the sauerkraut to be as dry as it can be. All right, that's perfect. You can see it's starting to drain there. Look, a good amount came out. That's gonna also help keep our sandwich really crispy. Okay, I'm gonna empty this water and then we'll finish assembling our sandwich and we'll get to air frying them. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and get the Ninja Foodi preheating, which is a really good idea when you're using the bake, roast, air crisp, or broil function. You wanna have it heated up for about 5 or 10 minutes before you get started. I'm gonna start down at 350. Go ahead and heat that up. The time isn't gonna matter. We're gonna keep an eye on this sandwich. We're gonna start out a little bit slower because I'm afraid if you start out at 400 degrees when you're air frying the Reuben, you're gonna get the bread really toasted, but you're not gonna get that cheese really melted like we want. So we're gonna start out at a lower temperature and then bump it up as needed. Our sauerkraut has finished draining, so it's pretty dry right now, and that's what we want. I'm just gonna layer this right on top. This is gonna be a good sandwich. It's gonna be a big sandwich. I have about 4 ounces of sauerkraut here. I may not use it all. I'm just gonna put that on there. This is definitely an indulgence here for me. I love Reubens. Okay, now we're gonna finish up dividing this meat up. A little more of the Thousand Island dressing. You don't want to go overboard with the Thousand Island dressing, but you do want to have a good amount of it so that you can actually taste it and your sandwich isn't like dry. Okay. Now this is a Reuben, Joe. All right. Now once this is heated up for a few more minutes, I'm gonna go ahead and get these sandwiches on. Put the tops on there. Okay, so we've been preheating for about 5 minutes. I put the rack in the lower position. Now we're gonna carefully place our sandwich right on this rack. And do that with the other sandwich as well. Be careful because the rack is hot. You could also bring the rack out and do this outside of the foodie if you're worried about burning yourself. Okay, now you could put this on the higher setting, of the rack if you wanted. However, my sandwiches are too big to fit up there, so we're gonna do it on the low rack. And now we just let it air crisp. So I'm gonna keep it at this 350 degrees, probably go about 3 or 4 minutes, give it a peek. Then we're gonna flip them and just keep doing that until they're grilled really nicely and the cheese is nice and melted. Okay, so it's been about 7.5 minutes. I'm gonna go ahead and open this up and they are starting to brown. I did peek a couple times, along the way, that's what we do. Now, in order to make this easier, I'm gonna pull this out so that these will go down like this and then you can flip your sandwiches. Don't try to flip them while they're in there, guys, because it's really awkward and you don't have enough room and you really need a nice large spatula to be able to get underneath of these and flip them. Now, they're really crunchy on the outside. Now, the underside might not be as crunchy, although there is some airflow. You're still gonna get the browning mostly on the top. So I'm just gonna lift this under carefully. There we go. And I'm gonna kind of do this. Do like this little fashion here. And then I'm gonna hold on to it, flip it, slide it. There you go. That's how you flip a sandwich. Okay, do it with the next one too. See all that cheese? Oh my gosh, this is gonna be the best thing ever. I think some of the cheese is actually sticking a little bit to the grate, so I'm just gonna be careful here. I don't wanna break the bread. So I'm just gently lifting. It's not like super hot or anything, but the rack is. So, yeah, so we've got a little bit of sticking there. Okay, so I'm gonna get this underneath. And I'm gonna do the same thing. So I'm gonna hold on to the sandwich, then slide back. There we go. These are gonna be good. Okay, make sure that they're positioned right. Perfect. And now I'm gonna put these in for another 6.5 minutes. Perfect. I'm excited for this one. Ooh, can't wait to eat them. Okay, let's take a peek here. It's been just a little over 5 minutes. Oh my, they look good. You know what? Let me pull these out again. Wow. Oh my goodness. I have not even had to bump up the heat, so 350 has been the temperature that we've been doing this. Now, I just want to take a peek again to see, do I want to go a few more minutes on this side? Oh, what the hey, just a little bit longer, because I want this side to be as crunchy as this side. Wow, these look amazing. And they're much easier to flip now because they're compressed together and the cheese is like glued everything together. So it's a lot easier to handle right now. So yeah, let's put these back in. I'm not gonna bump up the heat or anything, but I'm just gonna put them in and let the rest of the time just ride out. So we know it's 15 minutes total cooking time, but flip a couple times in between. Yay! It's done. Let it go through this few seconds of cool down. Oh my goodness. I will never be getting Reubens at a restaurant again. I will always make them in the Ninja Foodi. Look at that. Wow. Unbelievable. Perfectly crunchy on both sides. I mean, wow. Now, I know a lot of you probably thought, what in the world is she making? I mean, piled up this high. You see how it compresses down? And now we're gonna have a beautiful, beautiful sandwich. So I'm just gonna let this cool just a second. I don't even know if I can wait a second. I think I'm gonna just go ahead and dive in. So let's give it a cut. I'm gonna cut it on the diagonal just because I like to be a little fancy. Through like butter. Wow, look at that. Gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. I'm gonna burn myself. I know it. I better wait. Wow, that looks so good. All right, let's give it a try. It is perfect. All the flavors come through. The Swiss cheese is so melty and delicious. The corned beef is really tender, but warmed all the way through, which is really important. You get the sauerkraut and the Thousand Island dressing, and it is so super crunchy. The only thing I wish I had was some French fries. I should have made some French fries. But stick around, because that video is coming up next, right over there. Better than any restaurant, Reuben. I promise.